Hello and welcome to the Mental Health Attention Initiative. I'm the host for the Talk for Health podcast. Mental Health Attention, or MHA, is an initiative started to create dialogue around mental health and how it affects everyday students.
Myths are a common misconception, but how does that make an impact when it comes to mental health, especially when it comes to teens? Today we have a list of 4 myths to unfold, starting with the most common one. People who struggle with their mental health are weak and are just doing it for attention.
Today's society, mental health is something that a lot of people struggle with, and we can't be every time someone speaks up or about it or anything, can we see them as weak or invalidate their feelings, because we all need to be there for each other and support each other.
You could also say that people who are doing it just for attention could just be doing it because they have their own mental struggles that do make them feel like they need that more attention.
I feel like from that, it's not always a bad or negative thing to want to seek for attention, such as wanting empathy from others. I think everyone needs that support system, and that I feel that's one step to helping someone in their mental health journey. Moving on to our second myth, children don't have mental health challenges.
Okay, so a lot of times the reason people don't believe children can go through anything or that is because the symptoms and their cries for help, I guess, are different than those of adults. And so people just tend to overlook their feelings and tell them that it's just a process of growing up or anything.
I think adding on to that is also this idea that children have no problems, have no issues because they're children. They quote unquote don't have responsibilities, and it's really easy for adults to be oh well, I'm an adult, I have my job, I'm paying bills, I'm taking care of this kid, I'm doing my best for this kid. How is it that they could have any issues? I'm doing my best for them. Nobody is perfect. No adult is perfect, and it's okay if some of the things that you did aren't perfect for your child. And so it's almost like trying to get two parties to accept that it's a mutual thing, that they both have to work together, which is why I feel a lot of times family therapy can really help, or even just spending more time with the children, getting to know your children. These signs are a lot better than doing nothing.
And if anything, I feel it starts at that age with children, whether they see it from their environment, their parents, or just friends, neighbors, what they see on TV, and that when as they're developing their brain and entering adulthood and learning these processes and everything from others, I feel that shapes them and how they'll become when they're older. So it's definitely important in how they're raised at that young age to determine how their mental health will be positive or negative.
I think even furthering even more from that is also parents you don't really know exactly everything that's going on with your child. You don't know what's happening at school. You don't know when they're walking back from school to home. You don't know when they're walking home to school. You don't know really what's happening. They could be going through something that you didn't do. You didn't do that at all. They could be getting bullied. They could be the bully and they're going through a different issue that's making them act out like this. You don't know what's happening all of the time. So it's good to have these conversations, be open, have conversations with teachers even, just checking in, how's my kid doing, and things like that. I think that should be done pretty regularly.
Okay, so that brings us to our third myth. There's no hope for those with mental health challenges, and it cannot be treated.
There's always hope for everyone when it comes to mental health, but although there are times that it is harder to go through whatever the person is going through when they don't have people they can rely on, or people that understand them. So that's why as we said back in the first myth, as a community or society, we need to help each other. We have to understand. We have to be there and validate people's feeling when they do decide to open up to us.
Mental health can definitely be daunting, and it might also feel like you're in this endless loop of there's no way of getting out. And that's definitely a negative myth and ideology to go through, because you think if someone is already in trouble, then they can't be helped. And that definitely limits someone who does have mental health, believing that that there's no hope for them and they're never gonna exit this cycle.
I think even adding on to these ideas is also that it's always better to get help sooner than later, because it will worsen, and not to say that it won't ever be help, but it's always better to get help sooner or later. But even if it is later, it's better than nothing.
And I feel at first seeking help may be hard, and then it might feel like it's better to suppress those emotions, but at the end of the day it gets really hard, and so it's just better to have someone to talk to.
Yeah, and again, as a community, we need to help each other. We have to be there for people when they are able to speak up, because it takes a lot of strength to actually tell someone else that you need help, or being able to admit it like to yourself that I need to go like see someone, or I need to find a better like maybe coping mechanism or whatever. Like I need to find a way to help me get through this. And so we need to be there to encourage people to get the help they need, and I guess like be there for each other.
I feel like everyone of all ages faces this, and they all have their own challenges of facing this. Like, for example, with the children one, children might not even realize that they have something going on because they're children. They might just be like, oh, I'm going through life, this is normal. Just like how if they grow up in a toxic household, they're not going to know that that household is toxic. They're going to assume that everyone's household is like this. So like furthering that is also with like adults educating their children on these things, and adults accepting it within themselves as well. So getting over this stigma within yourself helps you get over the stigma for your children, and I feel like that betters our future generations.
And of course, if your friend does have a mental health challenge, don't blame them and think that they are doing it, like trying to keep it for themselves and not trying to tell you or share their like pain and like how they feel and their emotions to you. Sometimes you have to meet them halfway there.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely agree with that, because when it comes to mental health and things like that, I know that isolation is a really big thing. I remember when I was in like 7th grade, I also started getting an issue where I completely distanced myself away from a lot of my friends.
Yeah, and that like further emphasizes the importance of like recognizing the signs of like someone, or like someone that's around you, like a loved one or like a friend or something. Like noticing if they like show any signs of like them struggling or like being extremely stressed or anything, because a lot of times the person themselves, they don't recognize it, like we just heard. So we need to like know, we need to be educated on the signs and like be there for people when they need it.
And you have to know and assure yourself that there are trained professionals in this who will help you, and that there's nothing scary about that. They won't judge you. They're not going to shame you for how you're feeling, because it is literally their job to know how you're feeling, to help you and support you in these things.
Thanks to our guests today and for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode for the Talk for Health podcast, and keep your eyes open on the Mental Health Attention website and Instagram at @phila_MHA for more updates. Hope to see you again.